Well, good morning, Uber Tuber Roopers and Tuberettes alike. It's a short talk, you know where, with who, what? Short talk in the trailer park with an old guy. Come on in. And I would not advise a beer just now. It's 7 in the morning. But anyway, it's good to be back with you. I've taken a few days off of this thing, and well, it's like if you got nothing to say, why are you running your mouth? I watched a few videos this morning. It looks to me like the communist, and that's what I call her, the communist Harris. Her campaign seems to be, shall we say, impaired. Nobody wants to hear her, even her own people. Talk about a dislikable candidate. I mean, back in 2020, she dropped out. I think she was the first to drop out of the Democrat. There must have been a dozen of them, and for good reason. She was getting no backing. No one was interested in her. No one liked her. No one wanted to hear what she had to say. Nothing's changed except she got older. And so anyhow, it's kind of interesting watching all this stuff. I don't really know what to make of it because, let's just face it, the DNC is as corrupt as the day is long. I mean, they are vile. And there is no level of cheating that they will not stoop to in order to win, as they call it, an election. It's the only way they can win. They're incapable of winning on the basis of their ideas, their track record, any proposals they may have, any encouragement for the Americans. I mean, it's like this has got to be the most dismal and disgusting so-called candidate I've ever had the misfortune to observe in inaction. She is just pathetic. And Tampon Tim, he ain't no better. So these people are getting shouted down now at their own rallies. And it's going to go downhill from there. Meanwhile, in reality land over here, it looks like the Israelis and the Iranians might be ready to duke it out. But all of a sudden, I was watching another video the other day, and who knows if this is valid or not, but the guy on that show was saying, well, the attack has to come before the U.S. election. What? So all of a sudden, this war, which is utterly necessary, by the way, for the security of the United States of America, how do we gain? So anyway, we got 57,000 U.S. troops on the ground already over there. Why don't they just put a large sign on their back that reads target? I mean, as soon as those guys get whacked or a number of them get hurt, the U.S. is going to throw in, and that's what Israel's counting on. And so this all has to happen before the election, you see, because if Tampon Tim and the communists end up cheating their way into a win, as they would call it, well, then the war's on. They're going to rock and roll. If, on the other hand, DJT is elected, well, then we got to kind of put the brakes on this because he may not be all in with starting a global holocaust with nuclear weapons like certain people apparently are. Our so-called leaders are toying with the idea of throwing H-bombs around with Russia and China. Why not throw in India too? Hey, it's a big free-for-all. But anyway, I'm just looking at this stuff and I'm thinking I've never seen such a screwed up, weird, so-called campaign season in my life. This is now Trump seems to be doing great. He goes into a town and there's like 100,000 people there, losing their minds. They just love this guy, and they cannot get enough of him. Versus this horrendous witch who she can't even talk. And when she does talk, it doesn't make a damn bit of sense. And so, anyway, I just thought to myself, I'm going to go out. I do what I call WOG. I just made it up my mind here a few days ago. Well, actually more like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I needed to shed some pounds as part of this whole hypertension gig. And so I got what I call a WOG. It's a walk and a jog. Heavy on the walk. Well, today I went out maybe 2 miles or more, and not much more than that. But I think honestly today, now my jog is pathetically slow. Okay, so it's not like I'm, burning up the track out there. But I felt good. I did. I'm going to call it 70% jogging, 30% walking, maybe 80% even. Yesterday I went down to the Rio. There's a nice walk down there. The river walk. I think I went about 2.25 miles down before turning around. I think that's right. It's funny, there's mile markers there right beside us. It's quarter mile, quarter mile. Just count them. I can never remember to do it. So at any rate, let's just say it was about a 4 mile, similar idea. I call it a wog. And so I guess you could call it a jalk, Jalk, but that sounds a lot like jock. We don't want to get confused here. So at any rate, I gonna head on down to church, jump in the shower. I probably do that in reverse order, actually. Jump in the shower. I might even get some breakfast today. I got some oatmeal the other day, and I got a banana hiding around the corner over here with a handful of nuts and maybe throwing some raisins, and we'll call that breakfast. Went down yesterday to the pit stop, and all I really wanted, and strangely enough, that's what I had, was well, I wish I could remember, a bacon and egg and cheese and chili, don't forget the onions, onion burrito. And if that ain't sophisticated enough for you, too bad. It was a great burrito, and one English muffin. And I thought, English muffins, when's the last time I had one of those? So it had a muffin and a burrito. That was food. That was it for up until dinner time. And dinner time, I had a couple of pieces of fish. That was it. I heard from a young guy, there's a market around the corner. It's kind of a little on the upscale, but it's not crazy. An upscale kind of small grocery, and the guy said, hey, you got to check out their deli. They got codfish in there that's breaded and stuff. All you got to do is heat it up in the oven, and boom, you got dinner. So I did some of that last night, and I was really pleased. It was excellent fish, and I don't understand. Well, living in New Mexico, it's not easy to get fresh fish unless you go up to the lake. And who wants to go fishing? I find it to be a fantastically boring process. I've never enjoyed fishing, and I don't understand why people do, unless the whole idea was just to relax, which makes sense to me, because the fish, they just look at my bait and kind of go, nah, not that guy. But anyhow, it's a Sunday morning. Get on down to church, darn it. I guess we could start cussing at people and yelling at them, go to church, 4-letter word for it. Really effective method of evangelism there, I'm sure. But when we think about the weird times we're in, and the uproar in the nations, and all of the just really scary crap that's coming down, what is the U.S. going to do when their dollar actually really does collapse? And it will. There's nothing supporting it. What are the U.S. going to do? Well, they're going to have to shift to a cyber digital currency, which means gross levels of theft. We're talking about hacker's paradise here. And of course, then they're going to have to find a way to secure the identity. So you have cyber digital coin, as it were, worthless garbage, zeros and ones on a computer. You have that. How are you going to secure that? Well, you have to secure the identity. And so in Sweden, it's funny, they always show the microchips in Sweden being inserted into the left hand. The Bible's specific about the right hand. And so I wonder if at least we have the technology now to have a Antichrist with a 666 number. Yay, we've got the tech. That is so hideous. And the thing is that the world looks at it and doesn't see it. What did you do? You knew the world was ending soon. What did you do as the world was, coming to a close? Well, frankly, I ate too many tacos. The people can talk about it, and we can be worried about it, and we can fret and fuss if you like, but nobody's doing anything about it. And so we pray for the righteous. We pray, but you got to go listen to Mark Driscoll. More and more, I'm listening to this guy, and I'm thinking, this guy's straight up. At least he says things the way they should be. Some of the churchy type stuff I'm hearing lately, it won't even mention the zoo we live in, the current fiasco being run by these communists and psychopaths and sociopaths and freaks and globalists. The church won't comment. No comment. Zip it. And it's like, I don't think so. No. The rule is we are to obey and honor the authorities until they command us to violate God's law. God's law is supreme. Do you know the Ten Commandments? Maybe I ought to go back and read them. But there's one that in specific I want to talk about just real briefly before we go to church and we'll actually get started with everything. The third commandment, thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh, your God, in vain. I am, that's his name. You shall not take that name in vain. Why? He who does so, his guilt remains. The entire idea, the edifice of the new covenant, of the work of Jesus Christ, was to generate in this world and make it real, a bridge back to him, built on forgiveness, built on mercy, built on grace, built on compassion. Forgiveness is the key. Without it, you got squat. Everything you got is on fire and is evidence against you. But he forgives. He forgives. And it's real. And so in the third command it says, if you violate oath, if you violate faith on using the name improperly, your guilt remains. Which is another way of saying is you're not forgiven. Be forgiven. Go find the way. Ask for it. Seek it. And talk to him in person in prayer. He's going to be our resource going into this crazy-ass zoo. He's going to be the center post. He's going to be our anchor, which holds true. He's the rock that never changes. He's the light of the world. He is the gift which came from heaven, the King of the Jews. Pay attention to him. He's real, and he's alive. And he's alive inside people just like you and me. There's an old song, how do I know he lives? He lives within my heart. And I remember as a kid, I used to think, that's lame. Let's face it, you're hallucinating. But what if they're right? What if he really has taken up residence in their bodies? That changes everything. Have a good day. And I'm not going to say run to win today because we don't want to start any cliches around here, right? It's a good day. Go out, find some way to get exercise and get your feet on the ground, the real world, and sniff some clean air and listen to water running and the leaves rattling overhead with the wind, and know that the living God who's moving through this world is moving even through you. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. God bless you. Have a good day.